Ready Player One is the latest film directed by Steven Spielberg and is based on the book by Ernest Cline, and it stars Ty Sheridan, Olivia Cooke, Ben Mendelsohn, Lena Waithe, and T.J. Miller. This film takes place in the futuristic setting of 2045, where basically the whole world has gone to crap, and the only real place of any value anymore is this virtual world known as the Oasis, where everyone goes to work, to basically live, get an education, and then they come back to the real world to eat, sleep, and die, I guess. They don't really go into that too much, what they do outside. Within this world, there is a challenge made by the creator of this world, Halliday, to find 3 keys, and once you get the 3 keys, you can unlock this door that will allow you to get a golden egg. Basically, think Willy Wonka in the Chocolate Factory, because once you get the egg, you own the Oasis. Pretty much the same story. Our main character, Wade Watts, wants to get the key so that he can get the egg, so that he can, I guess, get out of the slums. It's a pretty standard story. He lives in the slums and he wants to get out. Never seen that before. Ever in any story, ever. And he, of course, has a rival, a CEO official that reminded me a lot of OCP from RoboCop, actually. I don't know if that was an intentional reference. I doubt it, but it could have been. You know, it's the 80s CEO official, so it could have just been 80s movie villains in general, honestly. But anyway, this guy really wants to get it so he can take over the company. And he's the evil bad guy who wants to rule all the Oasis. Ooh. And Wade Watts gets this girlfriend named Samantha to help him on this quest, and these other friends who are going to help him. And basically, this movie is just an excuse to show a ton of references, especially to the 80s. Look guys, Steven Spielberg is one of my favorite directors. He's made several of my all-time favorite films like Raiders of the Lost Ark, Jurassic Park, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Jaws, of course, one of my all-time favorites. So I was really excited to go see this new film, but with some trepidation, honestly. You know, the trailers and the book, as I understood, was really just an excuse to shove in as many references to pop culture as possible, especially pop culture of the 1980s. And now, I'm a fan of many 1980s properties, even though I'm a millennial. And yes, I do find this funny, because it's true. I was into this 1980s stuff in this generation before most of my generation. So, I guess I got that going for me. No one else gives a shit, but I thought it was funny. Anyway, ooh, so cool, right? Anyway, but just because they have an 80s reference doesn't mean I'm going to automatically give it a chance or automatically like it. I like Stranger Things because it's a compelling story with compelling characters that, yes, is set in the 1980s with tons of 1980s references that go along with the story. I like movies that have come out recently like Super 8 because that has that 1980s feel, sure, but it has great characters and a great environment. So this is what I was hoping for, and with Spielberg I was like, okay, I might get it, but he's going off of a source material that admittedly I have not read, but from what I understand it's not one of the greatest books in the world. I did start reading it actually, so that's not completely true, but I never finished it. It seemed to be just chock full of references, and unfortunately that's pretty much what the movie is. I'm not going to say this is all bad. There are fun elements to this movie. The visuals do look really great. The Oasis looks really cool. There's this amazing racetrack sequence where all these cars and other vehicles have to race each other to get to this finish line where they'll get the first key. And you see it in the trailer. And it is really cool design. They have a lot of references in there, sure, but they work well in there. It adds to a bit of the roller coaster vibe of it. It would be a fun video game. It would be a fun virtual reality video game. I can totally see that working. You know, you got like this shot of a car going and the T-Rex that is, of course, a reference to Jurassic Park, chasing the car. And then you have King Kong leaping from buildings and trying to block cars on the road. Stuff like that. It added some fun to the film. I'm actually surprised, speaking of Jurassic Park, that Spielberg didn't work in more references to his movies. I don't know if he thought it would have been distracting or not. It did feel a little weird though, because if there's one director I think of when I think of the 1980s, Steven Spielberg is the one. I mean, yeah, the guy created half of the biggest, most known, beloved characters from the 1980s that weren't in Star Wars. Honestly. So that did seem a little odd, but whatever. What is most important in this film is to get the characters right. And I will say they were fine. I guess. They were, you know, they weren't like horribly done characters. Obviously, Spielberg knows how to direct actors very well. And these are some good actors. I mean, you know, they don't blow me away or anything. None of them are freaking Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones or Roy Scheider or anything. Like, there's no amazing performance in this film. But they're fine for this kind of movie. I just, you know, none of them really stood out. I don't see a lot of these characters standing out in my mind later on after, you know, a week from now when I'm thinking about this movie. I'm going to be thinking about the visuals. And the visuals, again, are fantastic. But visuals without characters is meaningless, really. Like, sure, they can be fun to a point, but if you're watching a movie, you need characters to carry along the story. And the characters were just fine. They were serviceable, and that's really it. And I think a lot of that goes back to the source material. I'm not going to blame Spielberg on that one, because if this guy knows one thing, it's how to write some characters. But this, you know, the book, from what I understand, doesn't have the greatest characters. It is much more intent on this little adventure. And the adventure itself is fun enough. It carries you for the story. I definitely wasn't bored during the movie or anything. I did enjoy watching the movie. But I just wish there was more meat to this movie, more substance to what was going on in the human drama. Also, just an understanding of how the world worked would have been nice. I mean, it's very simple understanding in the movie. I don't know whether it's with cutting exposition from the book out of the film. That could possibly happen. That does happen a lot with book to movie adaptations. But I had a hard time following, so how does this new future world work? What does the real world really matter, apart from, you know, having someone come up and shoot you if you're about to, like, get the egg or something? Apart from that, what does it really matter? Like, how do these people make a living? Okay, do they only make it for the oasis? And if that's the case, how does that work? How do they get their own homes and houses? Because obviously there's hierarchy. There's, you know, rich people and then middle class, poor class still, and that still exists in this world. But it didn't really flesh out for me, like, at all. And honestly, I just want to say about the references. Just throwing in movie references doesn't mean anything if you're just going to throw in a reference. I mean, I could do that. Watch. Oh, look, it's Indiana Jones! Indiana Jones! Woo! Indiana Jones! Ooh, look, Rambo! Woo! 1980s characters! Ooh, Freddy Krueger! Woo! Yeah, see? Oh, that's so hard to just put pictures of characters. Ooh. Yeah, it's so cool. Again, look at Stranger Things. They do it well. They have characters that matter and a story that matters. And then they throw in these little references to aliens, E.T., Stand By Me, whatever you want to say. And they work. They feel like they organically fit in the story. And to be fair, the references here do organically fit because they're in a virtual world. I guess. I gotta give it to that. And I will admit, they weren't there distracting. It's not like they called it out every time a character showed up. But at the same time, it was, after a while, it started to get a little tiring. It's like, yep, you know, I can go home and pull out my Blu-ray of Back to the Future and put it in. Like, right now, I have it right here. I can open this, take out the Blu-ray once I get the digital code out of the way. Take out the Blu-ray here, see, have it. And I can go put it in my Blu-ray player and watch the movie and see the DeLorean. I don't need to see another movie to remind me what the DeLorean looked like. This isn't the 1940s. Movies don't disappear, people. So it did seem a little pandering, honestly, to me. At the end of the day, I enjoyed this movie fine, and maybe I just wasn't in the right mindset for this movie, because people are loving this movie, and this is kind of my kind of movie, because I love 1980s. Like, the 1980s film and just entertainment in general is probably one of my favorite decades for entertainment. And yes, I'm a millennial. Obviously, I wasn't alive back then, but I still enjoy that. You know, going back and discovering this entertainment that came out, you know, way back then. But that being said, that's cool. Like, yes, learn history of the world, people. That's a great thing to do. Go back and experience stuff. But doesn't mean you have to be reminded about it every single movie. Just throwing in references means nothing. At that point, you're just, you know, disaster movie or epic movie or one of those. Like, This is better than that. Again, they don't call them all out like that. And I will admit, there is one sequence that I absolutely loved, which is a sequence where they go into the Overlook Hotel from The Shining. This whole sequence is just centered around the movie The Shining. And I'm sure most mainstream teenage audience won't really know that movie too well, if at all. And so I thoroughly enjoyed this just as a film geek and loving that movie. Seeing them walk around this CGI replica of the Overlook Hotel and running into the creepy twin girls from the movie and all this other iconography from the film. That was really cool to see. And yes, he does throw in the score there. Also, the score balance of extra is pretty good here. Every once in a while, he'll throw in his Back to the Future stinger, which is, you know, that is a nice callback, and it makes sense because our main character is driving around DeLorean. But, you know, the score is fine. It's not one of his best scores, but it's, you know, it's pretty good. It works enough for the film. This film is fine. It's a fine adventure film. I wish there was more meat to it, and I wish I cared a little bit more about the characters and the environments and everything. But overall, it's fine. Would I watch it again? Honestly, probably would. But if I had to say one word about this movie, it'd be disappointing because it's Steven Spielberg, and I guess I expect more from him. But that's my thoughts on Ready Player One, guys, and I'm going to give this movie 3 out of 5 stars. Yeah, I mean, I might watch it again and raise the rating, but for now, that's just how I'm feeling. It's just a little disappointing. But if you like this review, and hopefully you aren't getting angry about me ranting, I guess, about this movie, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.